I have been holding the tattoo machine for more than 11 years now, and in over that decade long time, I've seen every trend, every revolution, wireless machine, every miracle aftercare product you can think of come and go. But as a professional, there's a technical flaw in the industry that has haunted me since year one. The moment a client walks out of the door, the session enters into a black box. We are very much technicians when they are in the chair. We spend 6 to 8 hours locked in into a hyper focused session. We manage the voltage, we manage the depth, we manage the saturation. We are at the peak of the craft for that window of time. And then the bandage goes on and the data stops. For over 100 years, tattooing has relied on luck to explain why a tattoo healed perfectly or why some ink has fallen out. If a line drifts, we guess. We say, oh, it must be your skin type, or you might have caught it onto something. But as a professional, I think guessing might be a little bit of a failure. We have spent a century blaming a client's lifestyle or their biology. For technical inconsistencies, we have no way of tracking, or we had no way of tracking up until recently. This is May of 2026, and the I guess era of tattooing may be coming to an end. We need to move away from being blind artists to being data driven technicians. This is why I built the Alice Tattoos ecosystem. I didn't just want a booking application, I wanted a solution to the invisibility of the healing process. We have built a marketplace for connections, AI image generation to streamline your design process, and a library of resources to push the industry forward. But at the heart of the technical reset is the Healing Hub. It is the first step in finally opening that black box and seeing the truth of our work. To understand why the Healing Hub is a technical necessity, we have to talk about the transitions that we are seeing happening in ink in 2026. Globally, we are seeing the final enforcement of the REACH and MOCRA standards. This has forced the manufacturers of the pigments that we use every day to change the chemistry of how they make the inks. They have removed the traditional stabilizers and alcohol they have traditionally used to make the inks. And the result is thinner ink that is a little bit more aqueous. When an ink is thin, its capillary draw is much higher. The moment the needle breaks the skin, the pigment wants to travel a lot more than the previous thicker pigments that we have been traditionally used to using. This creates what I call a technical drift. If you're not accounting for this in your expansion gaps, that is the physical space that you leave in between your stipple points, you're engineering a future blowout. Everybody reacts to thinner ink chemistry a little bit differently. One client's immune system might lock that ink down in 48 hours, while another client might take a whole week. And during that week, the ink is moving. If we are not tracking these movements through structured digital check ins, we are not learning. We are just repeating the same technical procedures and wonder why we get inconsistent results. We need to see the photo of the heel at day 7, day 14, and even day 30 to understand how the ink is actually behaving in the real world. We need to slightly move away from artistic intuition, move a little bit towards technical clarity. When I sat down to design alicetattoos.com, I knew it had to be more than just a booking app. The industry is way too complex for that now. We needed a place where the design phase, the artist discovery, and the technical record all live under one roof. That's why we have a marketplace, not just to find artists, but to find the right technical match for your project. We have put together several AI image generation tools to allow us to iterate complex designs in seconds rather than hours. We have put together a blog section and some resources to ensure that the knowledge that we have accumulated over the years doesn't just sit in a silo. But the Healing Hub is where the ecosystem provides its true value. Currently, we are using the Healing Hub to track the progress through photos that clients upload. I know it does sound simple, but in an industry that has ignored the healing phase for over a century, it's revolutionary. For the first time in history, if a client comes back for their next piece, I can open Alice and open the Healing Hub to see how the last piece settled. Did the fine line work hold its edge? Did the stipple density I chose for their skin type cause too much migration? This moves the craft from a one off transaction to a continuous feedback loop. We are trying to close the gap between what we intended and what the skin actually did on our platform. Currently, it's about documentation and high resolution tracking. But the vision is to evolve into a tool that helps predict outcomes before we even touch the skin. We are moving from being decorators to being technicians who actually care about the long-term results. We also have to be real about the professional landscape. In May of 2026, which is the time of recording of this video, regulators are looking at this industry closer than ever. Whether you're in South Africa, the United Kingdom, or in the US, the responsible person, i.e., the artist, is being held to a higher standard. If a client has an adverse reaction, we have a very clear specified window of 15 days to report it. And if you don't have a digital record of the healing process, you may not have any defense. Having a structured healing hub within an app like Alice isn't just cool tech, it's about professional survival at this point. It's about being able to prove that you followed a controlled technical procedure from the first line to the final heal. I've tattooed a lot of high level professionals, lawyers and doctors, people who deal with facts and evidence. And they don't want the Wild West. They want an expert who has a system. When they see the resources that we've built into Alice, they see, or rather, they realize that they're in a professional environment. And any artist with an internet connection can offer the exact same experience anywhere in the world. The old school says systems are selling out. And to an extent, I do get where the feelings come from. I'm a little bit old school myself in some ways, but I say systems is how we actually protect our craft from being litigated into extinction. If you're not tracking the variables of the heel, you're just throwing ink at a wall and hoping that it sticks. I'm leaning more into data because I want to master the science of the skin, not just the art of drawing. The ultimate goal of this data driven approach is to solve the Instagram deception. We have spent years being lied to by filters and those high contrast lighting. We have seen a rise in high contrast micro realism that looks amazing on day one, but looks like a little bit of a smudge a couple of years down the line. This happens because those artists are designing for the camera and not for the dermis. This doesn't mean that they're bad artists. It's just that, the goals are slightly different. They're ignoring the expansion gap. They are also ignoring how the light refracts through the healed epidermis. By tracking the drift through the healing hub, we can finally master the science of the soft edge. We can see exactly how much space we need to leave within our stippling work to ensure it still looks crisp 10, 20 years down the line. and that that design still has the negative space that it was designed to have. This way, we're not just drawing good, we're basically creating technical blueprints for longevity. The 2026 reset is going to be a filter that will split the industry into two camps. On the one side, you're going to have the hobbyists who stay inside the black box and stay guessing, or rather keep guessing, who unfortunately will eventually get caught by the regulators. On the other side, you're going to have the technical engineers, the ones who use tools like the Healing Hub, track their variables, who understand the complex biology of the skin, who treat however much time they've spent in the industry as a foundation for data, not just a gut feeling. I know which side I'm on. I'm leaning on the tech side because I think I might want to still be tattooing when I'm a little bit older and look back at a sleeve that I did, let's say 20 years ago, and see the expansion gaps still hold and the pigment stayed crisp and that the client's skin remained healthy. This doesn't happen by accident. Sure, it can, but it would be better if it happened by design. The era of the mystery artist is over, and the era of the technician is here. If you're an artist and you're not looking at your work a month, 6 months, or even a year and beyond to see how the ink has migrated or how the ink has settled, then you're not really doing your job to its full extent. And if you're a client and you're not asking whether your artist has some sort of system of tracking your safety and your results, then you might be taking a little bit of a gamble. I'm trying to build Alice Tattoos to be, to an extent, that new standard. We're going to keep adding to the Healing Hub, and we're going to keep expanding our marketplace, and we're going to keep adding resources that this industry needs to professionalize. I would like to hear from you in the comment section below. How do you track your heals? Do you actually look at your work a month later? Or do you just move on to the next deposit? Does the idea of data driven tattooing excite you? Or does it scare you? Or does it bore you? Let's have a real technical conversation down there. I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts, views, and opinions. My name is Washington, and I'll see you in the next one.